Hello, I am happy you're here. I have recently realized that I am in the middle of a lot of series, and there are some series that I also really want to start. But since right now I am currently in the middle of 14, maybe I should finish some of them off before I get started on one of the 16 book series I want to start. So it's just very daunting how many books and how long it's going to take me to actually get through all of these series. So I checked my list of the series that I'm currently in the middle of, and there's like 7 series that I am on the last book. So I thought, let's wrap it up. Let's wrap up as many series as we can before we get invested into another one. So in those series, I went through and I found a few duologies that I am near the end of. I actually just finished reading Heartless Hunter yesterday, and so I would love to get Rebel Witch, but I'm not quite sure where to find that yet. So we're gonna hold off on that right now, but I am going to be looking for it. So I think to kick this off, I am going to start reading His Mortal Demise by Vanessa Lee. I read The Last Blood Carver last month, so this story is still pretty fresh in my mind. And this book came out right when I finished The Last Blood Carver, so I've been waiting for one of the libraries to have it in circulation. So I just picked this up. I'm probably the very first person to read this copy of this book. I'm so excited. I think the covers on these are also just so beautiful, and the cliffhanger that they left us on in the last book, I need to know how we're moving on from that ending. I need to know. And this is a duology, so once I'm done with this book, we can cross a series off our list. Hi. Hello. It's been a little bit of a dreary day, and I haven't done a lot of reading yet on His Mortal Demise by Vanessa Lee because my husband and I ended up going out, like a little shopping hangout trip, because my mom was watching my kids. So I haven't been able to like fully dive into this, even though it would have been the perfect day to like read for hours and hours because it's just so rainy. And then I could have just like hunkered down, drink some hot drinks and just hang out. But it was a nice outing. We went to Goodwill and I ended up getting a copy of The Help for like $3, which has been on my TBR. So great find. But I'm about 46 pages in right now and I'm about to start chapter 6. I'm gonna try to be kind of vague when I'm describing this book because a big premise of this book is solving the problem at the end of the first book. So The Last Blood Carver ends on kind of a really big cliffhanger, and I feel like to tell you a more detailed synopsis of this book would give away the ending of The Last Blood Carver. But so far we're traveling back and forth in time. We're going 6 months in the past and then present, and we are finding out what happened. How am I going to describe this? There is a mystery that the character is now trying to learn, and they can't remember the event that happened at the end of book 1. So we're waiting for them to discover the truth of what happened, and then also how they have landed where they now are. This is so hard. I'm sorry. I just really don't want to give away the premise of The Last Blood Carver because I thought it was such a beautiful book, and the ending was so like abrupt. Like I read that last chapter and I was like, wait, for real? For real? This is what we're going to have to explore? But you get the resolution to the end of The Last Blood Carver immediately in chapter 1 of this, but now we're trying to learn the time that was lost in between. Like there's 6 months of time that we're trying to catch up with. So that's what's happening. Like we're going back and forth, learning what happened to the lead up of this character catching up. And it sounds like there's some big political events that are also happening that they just don't know yet and they're still learning about. But this is a duology, so I would highly recommend reading The Last Blood Carver. It is instant action in the first chapter. That was one book that I was really excited to get a hold of the second book when I usually let the series breathe a little bit. So I would highly recommend looking into The Last Blood Carver if you haven't. And I'm so sorry about how vague my description of this is going to be, but I am enjoying it. I'm getting right back into it, so loving that. So in addition to reading his Mortal Demise, I've also started listening to The Conjurer by Luann G. Smith. This is the third and I believe final book in a fantasy historical trilogy. Each book follows a different witch. This book we are following Cedra, who was accused of killing her husband, and now we are on a journey also with the other two witches from the first two books to figure out what happened and how she ended up getting accused of something that she didn't do. So that is my understanding of it, but we will find out, of course. So I'm gonna be taking this book pretty slow. I'm gonna be just kind of picking at it for short rides in the car or when I'm cleaning up the house or maybe even like taking a shower. So like this one, I'm not gonna so much talk about as much until I get it done. Like until we're closer to the end, I will talk about it a bit more. Try to sneak off from my kids long enough to give you guys a little book update, because I have not given you a book update in like a week. I think I am about like a quarter of the way through his Mortal Demise, but I'm gonna admit something to you guys. I took a big break and I just absolutely devoured the second book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, Carl's Doomsday Scenario by Matt Dinneman, and I just absolutely devoured it. It's on Kindle Unlimited. I think this one is also the shortest book in the series. I've been looking ahead because there are 7 books out right now in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, and I love it. I am having such a good time. Like it's like a 4 or 4.25 for me. I'm still a bit confused about some of the language. If you haven't heard anything about the Dungeon Crawler Carl series, it's a lit RPG apocalypse almost, like, but like alien induced apocalypse. You're like now in a game show underground and being broadcast to the universe. But this book was full of much more of the universe politics, which was a little bit hard to pick up on because I'm just not very familiar with like the RPG and like first person video game lingo and language, so I'm learning that. But if you know what like mana and aggro are, like words and terminology like that, like you'll understand that part of the story a bit more than I currently am. But I know just enough to get by and enough to like infer what it means, and I have Google in my pocket. If I really wanted to know, I could just look it up. But I am really enjoying the story. I'm having such a fun time learning about the, you can't even say world, like learning about the universe that is Dungeon Crawler Carl. And it's been so much fun. So I did take a little break from his Mortal Demise to absolutely devour that book. Like I said though, it is the shortest in the series. They do get pretty long. I don't have big book fear a lot, but this series, I can tell you, I will be reading all 7 of these books for sure. So if you want more of like a detailed wrap up of Dungeon Crawler Carl, make sure you subscribe because I do a monthly wrap up every month. Who would have thought? I need to get up and start doing a few things around the house. It's been like a long time since I've spoken to you guys about me trying to finish these book series, and over these last couple of days, I've actually lost my 162-day reading streak. So I'm kind of just like a little down about it at this moment. But I am so close to the end of The Wedding Witch by, what's her name? Hold on, let me find it. I'm gonna find it. Erin Sterling. I'm very close to being done with it. I don't think I've talked to you guys about me listening to it. I am listening to it on Spotify, so I have been trying to use up the last bit of my Spotify listening hours before my date, because I pay for Spotify Premium, so I have 15 listening hours. So I wanted to make sure that I listened as much as I could before I got my new 15 hours, because that time doesn't roll over. So I got about, literally so far, 91% of the way through The Wedding Witch. I didn't think I was going to listen to it because I had listened to The Kiss Curse last month and I did not have a good time with it, with the narrator especially, but I think I said this in a review video about The Kiss Curse, but it gives like trying too hard to be cool and like a little bit of a pick-me, if you will, and that kind of tone in writing was a little bit more tolerable when I was reading the physical copy when I read the first book, The X-Hex. So I was not going to listen to the audiobook, but I thought, since it's such a short audiobook, let's just do it. And they got a different narrator for this one who has like a British accent. Maybe she's Welsh even, because a lot of these characters are Welsh. So she's putting on a Welsh accent and I think she's doing a really good job, except for one thing that is driving me absolutely up a wall, and it's driven a lot of other people up the wall as well who have also listened to it. And that is, there are two characters from the first two books, Vivian and Gwen, and they are Southern girls from Georgia, but this narrator gives them a Welsh accent, so it just throws off the entire thing, and it's just very odd and very hard to wrap my head around, because I'm like, these are Southern belles, these are Southern girls. At the minimum, they should just have like a standard American accent, and then maybe even a Southern drawl. Like, that could be it too, like one of those two. So in this book, we're following the third Penhallow brother, which is Bowen, and he is Welsh, and we are following Tamsin, who is a American human person. Bowen's a witch, who's a Southern, we presume, because she's been in the Southern states. She appeared in the first book, and they're like kind of adventure. She like dabbles in magical artifacts, and he is trying to look for magical artifacts to help his friend who died while they were in college in Georgia. And so they end up at this party, this extravagant wedding in Wales, and they're like, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? Because she's trying to procure magical stuff for him, but he is meant to be her exclusive client, but now she's found this other job because it pays a lot. So they're at this party, and then they find themselves go back in time, and now they have to figure out how to get back to their present time before they run out of, I'm gonna say the word time again, to go back to the present. So I am really loving this plot. I'm loving the writing a lot more this time, and I'm loving the narrator, except for the fact that she gives Tamsin an American accent, but she was not briefed or told, or nobody checked the narration of her first few chapters where she gave Vivian and Gwen Welsh accents instead of American accents. And that's like such a bummer, because she's doing such a good job, and now she's getting low ratings as a narration, because somebody who's on this team, or maybe even her, should have looked into the nationality of these women before she just automatically gave them a Welsh accent. So I think that there might have been some context clues there for her, because when they're in Georgia when these two women are in the book, like they're in the first part. So if you can get past the first couple chapters, if you feel like listening to it, it's in the first couple of chapters, and they do have very heavy Welsh accents. The context clues of them being in Georgia probably should have given her a clue that these might be American women. Let me ask. But then it's also on like the editing team and the producers to be like, oh, actually these first few chapters are like, go back and redo the 3 chapters. I don't know how that industry kind of works. I don't know if they can do that, but just go back and fix those chapters with those women in it, and her narration rating would go way up. But she's getting a lot of 1 stars because she got those accents wrong, which is kind of a shame, because she's being a very entertaining narrator. So that's been kind of a bummer, but I'm very excited to finish off the last 9% of this book, because it ended, like my Spotify minutes ran out at like the most cliffhangery part. Like, we are at the peak. We're about to learn what's gonna happen, and I'm very excited to get it, to be able to listen. I'm very excited. Which is great, especially after like what a letdown The Kiss Curse was. I'm happy that I've been having a good time with The Wedding Witch. Let's listen. I'm gonna finish this today and I'm gonna start on my streak again and try to get back my 162-day streak. So sad. I am having such a hard time sitting and reading at this moment. I'm feeling very burnt out, like in outside life at the moment, between working and juggling schedules and everything right now. So I am not reading as much this month and I'm having trouble getting into this. So I don't know, I'm of two minds at this second. I'm thinking about just leaving this video here with just covering 2 books, just because I'm tired of recording this video. It's been like 2.5 weeks now trying to read 3 whole books, and usually in that amount of time it would be done, but I can't right now. I am just too swamped with other things like outside life, and I just have to let that be okay. I think I will be finishing this over the next few days. I just renewed it from the library, so I do have a few more weeks with it. If I can just set aside some time where I can just sit and read this, it won't take long. I don't know if I'm enjoying this one as much as I enjoyed the first one. There's like the mystery sort of happening at the moment. I'm on page 125. So you can see how much I still have left to go. And I'm enjoying like the mystery, but I think because my brain is just mush at the moment, I am having a hard time reading and I don't want to burn out over reading. So I am gonna leave this video here, but I did completely close out a series and I started chipping away at a 7-book series. So I'm feeling good about that progress, and I still have like an audiobook started of the last book in a series. So I think I'm set up to chip away. The only issue is I want to start Throne of Glass. So that's a big book commitment that I'm like setting myself up for. But I think I'm just gonna have to do that and then revisit trying to finish off series when I'm feeling less yuck, and maybe just read a few books for the rest of this month that are just like light and airy. But I will finish this, so this will be in either April's reading wrap up or May's reading wrap up. One of those 2 videos we will talk about the end of this book. So don't forget to subscribe so that way you can see what I think of the end of this duology and this book. And I'm so close to finishing it. I'm gonna count this as basically finished, and that will be an excuse to start a 16-book series. But I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what series are you in the middle of right now, and I will meet you back here in the next one.